I worked the theme into this story in that as a kid, I was a little bit obsessed with getting spooking out my friends, getting that kind of buzz going when you tell a scary story, and you can kind of like rattle around on that feeling for a while. So that'll be my obsession. And so I grew up the oldest of 5 kids who were homeschooled until 9th grade, so spent a lot of time at home with my parents. And the curriculum that we were using was called Sonlight, Sun spelled S-O-N. I don't know if you get where I'm going with this. Jesus. And the way that Sonlight worked is you just read a bunch of novels, and that takes care of about 5 subjects. History, science, math, maybe. This particular night, I remember we were reading this book called Johnny Tremain. I've never met a person who has heard of this book. It might only exist in this curriculum. It's about like an apprentice, and he was like a blacksmith or something. I'm not really sure what. But I do remember the book because of this evening. My mom and I were up reading it together, and we were the dead end of a cul-de-sac. And it's still, my dad still lives in that house, and I can still name a last name for every single house on this cul-de-sac. So it's, pretty tight little dead-end street, and there's a knock pretty late at night, and the woman says, "Kathy," this is my mom's name, "Kathy, please let me in." And this bag lady comes in, and come to find out, this is the ex-wife of the, something like Hinkleberries or some really classic southern last name that lives on the cul-de-sac. And she's gone crazy, he's married again, and she's roaming the streets of Norfolk, Virginia. And my mom is extremely compassionate and says that she can come in because she remembers this woman when she was still sane. And she comes in and smells to high heaven. And this is where I learned a habit of keeping a section of blankets in your house if you live in a downtown environment, which you can give to homeless people and you don't care if you get them back. So my mom went to that section of the house and gave her a blanket that she could keep, and the woman wanted to soak her feet, and so she took her shoes off, and she wouldn't take a bath because she believed that like the Soviets were poisoning the water. And I was very surprised that my mom did this. This was a really good learning experience of, nurturing and compassion. I don't think my dad was really on board with it. And we were all concerned as a family about how the couch was going to smell after this. But she kept the blanket, slept in the blanket, and I guess left. And it was kind of troubling as a child that any random bag woman could knock on the door at night and my mother would let them in. And so this grew into a scary story that I would tell my other siblings that weren't present at the time. And my best friend in the neighborhood, who was a public school kid, I still call people public school kids, and she would tell me stories about like Bloody Mary and like, incantations in the mirror in the public school, and you had to have everything red out of the room or else she would come with her bloody face and kill you. And so she would always one-up me with the public school scary stories. I didn't have anything. But then she came to spend the night at my house for one of our birthdays, and for some reason we slept in the living room. And so I was like, I'm going to get her with this story. I'm going to tell her, this woman's name was Ramona. Ramona's coming tonight. And the front door had one of those mail slots that you could just stick your hand through. And the way that Ramona would get my mom's attention is she would stick her hand through the metal slot and rattle it and go, "Kathy!" and jangle it. And as kids, we used to practice our handstands up against the door, and we would put our feet in the mail slot for stability. But then I started telling my brothers that Ramona would come and slice their toes off, and so the mail slot became this, like epicenter of fear. Stick your toes in the mail slot, Ramona's coming. Anyways, I told Steffi that Ramona was going to come during the sleepover, talked it up big, and we got super spooked at night. when her dad came to pick her up in the morning, we were kind of, recanting how much fun we had, how we told scary stories all night. She picked up her pillow and had gone to the kitchen and gotten a serrated dagger from the knife drawer and was sleeping with the dagger under her pillow all night in case Ramona came. And that was the end of her allowed to spend the night at my house.